It's another edition of the Blathering. This is the main show, what we're calling the main show. Why we call it the main show? Because I want to call it the main show. It is Thursday evening, 5 in the p.m. for me here in the West Coast. I'm just happy things are working. I've had some technical issues, probably computer meets StreamYard related. And it's kind of annoying because you never know what's working until you actually get on the air. But Scotty J. Rose here. And I want to hi, and a lot of people are here. I want to say hi to Vermont Mike, producer Steve, Michael McCarsel's threatening to call in, Bretta Mars here, new channel member, Jared the Dark Jedi, returning to us here as a channel member. Love Jared. Addie's back in the business here, the business being us in the show. Laserbolt's here. We have got ourselves a Detroit Lion fan. Lauren Rommel starting crap already. Just here to say Detroit style pizza's the best. Put a pin in that. But I want to highlight this man here right here, Scotty J. Rowe. I want to congratulate Scotty for getting a panel at Star Wars Celebration Tokyo that is about midichlorians and his love and understanding of midichlorians. And Scotty, I want to publicly invite you back on Why We Love Star Wars. Blank is Why We Love Star Wars on Force Center. Time it right so that we can get you talking on Force Center about midichlorians, why you love them, why they make you love Star Wars, and then people can go catch your panel. Let's advertise that panel. I'm putting out there that to you right now. I'm so proud of you, buddy. I'm so goddamn proud of you for doing that. Shout out to James Holmes, who is always here early in the show. He's in the UK side of things. Gifting 5 memberships here to the channel. And there we go. Scotty says, let's do it in April. Booked. You're booked, buddy. We'll connect and do all that. I am not going to be in Tokyo this year for Star Wars Celebration, but I'll be watching and sending my love. So anything I can do to help Scotty, do that there. Right as Alex is here, didn't even realize we were live. We're live. We're live. At least I think I'm live. You all can hear me, right? Like I said, technical issues, it's been a thing. But Addie's saying yes. Jared, the TIE pilot, is having some what seems like recreational puffs of candy. Oh no, it's hell. Okay. Oh, he's dying. He needs air now. Can someone get the man help? All right, they're going to be calling in. Trey T's here. We have got a good show to get to. Thank you to everyone who joined Monday. We're going to be live Saturday. If I don't choke on the Wood Ranch lunch I had today with Mark Ellis and Christian Ruvalcaba. And until until my employment situation kind of settles, and there's a lot of different ways it could go, I'm going to be doing at least 3 live shows a week to build what I want to be built here on the Blathering. So that's coming. And you guys all make that possible by showing up when you can, and if you can, and if you want to. It's also important to take trips. Addie took a trip, and she had some fun, and she might share some of the stories. If you're out there, like, if you ever say to yourself, I can't leave the house tonight, got to listen to the Blathering, we've all lost. Go have some fun. Just like I'm going to take this water. We're live on Twitch, live on Facebook as well. Some things up top I want to talk about here as we look at what's going on in the world. One of the things I want to get to real quickly here is the passing of two important people on different sides, or not even opposite sides, just 2 different people who were very influential in their own way. David Lynch passed away today at 78. Ground News here describing him as a visionary filmmaker and creator of Twin Peaks. You can only fit so much into a headline. David Lynch is absolutely influential. He's inspirational. And I want to, I we'll be talking about him on Force Center. Joseph Scrimshaw has been unapologetically like Lynch's #1 fan around the Force Center world. But Joseph shares the love of Lynch with so many. I'll let Joseph have all the words he wants and needs on the forthcoming Force Center episodes. But I always want to be honest, like, I didn't grow up watching a lot of Lynch things. I didn't watch Twin Peaks. I always lovingly joke, the only Lynch movie I've really seen is A Straight Story, which I loved, which is completely outside the normal Lynchian kind of film. But he is an absolute artist. And even though I didn't gravitate towards his specific brand of art, I've always appreciated what he is, what he says. And one of the things I have enjoyed today is seeing so many people sharing these wonderful clips wonderful scenes, whether he appeared in a movie or interviews in which he famously didn't answer things, not because he was cantankerous, because he just felt that art shouldn't need to be explained, or at least he shouldn't explain what his thoughts about his own art are, because the art is doing the talking. There's a lot of wonderful things, and I think a lot of people are continuing to share it. So I wanted to tip my cap to Lynch. I loved, there's a clip someone shared today, and again, maybe someone in chat can tell me. I think it's a movie. It's a show. So he appears in, and it's late in life, and he's puffing a cigar. And I know emphysema took him, and it's sometimes hard to watch as a George Harrison fan who watched George smoke cigarettes his entire life and then die of lung cancer. It's kind of weird when you look back and see the old clips. But acknowledging that aside, Lynch is puffing a cigar, and he's talking to a young kid, and he's showing him all these pictures of like westerns on the wall, and asking him where the horizon where the horizon is on every photo, bottom, top, middle. And I'm paraphrasing. I'm shortening it all to a Napzok type of point here, but he ends the scene with this: the horizon. If the horizon's on the bottom, it's interesting. The horizon's on the top, it's interesting. The horizon is in the middle, it's boring as fuck. And I saw that today and was absolutely moved by it. Absolutely moved. I wish I'd seen it before. I was not familiar with the clip, not familiar with the movie. It's so how I want to approach stand-up. And when I have something fail on stage, and it's not necessarily what I wrote or what I prepared, but how I deliver it. If I deliver it in the middle, and the middle can be anything. I'm not just talking about a stance, politics, beliefs. I'm just talking if I deliver something in the middle, it's safe and it's goddamn boring, and the audience knows it. So from now on, I'm going to take that forward. I'll probably share the story again a little bit on Force Center. I'd love to get Joseph's feedback on it. But the horizon's going to be on the bottom. It's going to be on the top. It's not going to be in the boring middle for me as an artist, as a performer on stage. And it's something to take to stage and remember. I remember I go with two things as a stand-up now. The middle is the second one I'm going to add. The first one I go is energy out. Every time I take the stage, energy's got to be out. When the energy's in, when my energy goes in, everything fails. But when my energy goes out, that's when it succeeds. And that it's not about the momentum, the volume, or anything. I look at Bill Burr as someone whose energy is out. It's an attack. Good or bad, it's an attack. Stephen Wright, energy comes in, but that's different from what they're projecting as an artist. Stephen Wright's energy is out just as much as Bill Burr's energy is. So thank you, David Lynch, for all your work. Thank you for your inspiration. Generations of inspiration, and I think it will continue to go on. The other thing I want to talk about here today is the passing of Bob Uecker. Like I said, on the other end of the spectrum, Bob Uecker, baseball legend, announcing legend, sitcom legend. Over the years, I haven't talked to him a couple years. I became friends with Bryce Beckham, who was George's Bob Uecker's character's son on the sitcom he was on. Uecker passed away at 90. You might know him as a sitcom dad. You might know him as a baseball announcer. You might know him from Major League. You might know him as a player. I kind of know him as a retired player turned announcer. I know him from WrestleMania. I know him from being adjacent to the wrestling world. And he was still active. He was still calling games. He'd still be in the booth. Funny and hilarious and engaging and charming to the end. It is a loss. It's a loss of the baseball world. It's just also a loss to my pop culture life and my youth. And it's a crashing last chapter of youth, all these kind of passings. It will happen to all of you out there if it hasn't already. And I'm not just talking, like, it doesn't have to be of a certain age, but there kind of reaches this point in your life where all the faces and public figures, sometimes even the politicians, all the people you grew up with start going, and it does something to you. I sometimes can't shake the feeling of, well, batter up, you're next, buddy. There's that. As the boomers fade away and Gen X becomes like the oldest of the generations, that's daunting and scary. But to focus on the fun, Bob Uecker gave the gift of entertainment and laughter and insight. He was a great baseball announcer. So I was sad to see him pass, and sad to see David Lynch pass as well. Another swig of water here. Do not gorge at Wood Ranch an hour before you go on air. Laserbolt says, yeah, I remember Bob with those funny beer ads. Funny beer ads, indeed. Later on the show, we got NFL picks. I had a pretty good playoff weekend. Steve's going to call in. At least I hope. I think I saw him in chat. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I don't. If Steve fails to call in one night, the show's done. I'm kidding. But pressure's on you, Steve. We got NFL playoff week 2 coming up. Big. Oh, my God. Again, had lunch with Mark Ellis today. He knows the end is nigh, perhaps, for his Washington Commanders. Got Lauren Romo and Laserbolt's Detroit Lions this Saturday night. Going to be a great game. Both teams don't have great defenses. It's going to be a shootout. Maybe not a punt in the game. Going to be fun. Top of the hour, we'll talk about NFL picks. Also, I'd like to do a segment here tonight. If you're calling in like you do all the time, great, call in. But you might want to hang up and call back later. I want to do a new segment. I got to work on it with producer Steve called Good Bad Food. Because we always get into food conversations around here, and it always gets passionate. It always gets really passionate. So I'm going to start a segment called Good Bad Food, where you call up and you share, not defend, this isn't a fight, but you share your favorite good, bad food. Something outside the box. And, if it's Detroit-style pizza, Romo, if that's got to be our first swing through the segment, then maybe that's what we do. Calls coming in. Brennan, Jared, Addie, and another Jared. We got 2 Jareds, one with an E, one with an O. Which one's better? We'll let them fight it out in the pit of names. One thing I want to talk about here. I experienced a sudden loss of employment, or I'll say change in employment that is pretty fatal to my pocketbook and future. So I'm looking for work, like many people. I'm not special in that regard. And I'm going to all the normal places. I've got my LinkedIn account. I'm on Upwork. I'm on Roster. I'm on Find Jobs in Sports. I'm on ShadyScammyJobs.net. I'm on anything to look for work. And while there's jobs out there, even when you do apply for the jobs, as I've said before on social media everywhere, you don't hear from them. You don't know if they even got the application. Yep, it's only been 1 or 2 days for some. I understand there's a waiting period, but it just feels like you're putting everything to the void. That's problematic enough. So I'm trying to find the real job offers. Like, I'll get a link that says, make money stuffing envelopes at home. No fee stuffing envelope job. Okay, sounds good. I'll stuff envelopes. I'll lick them till my tongue is dry, and I'll make a couple bucks for my couch. Maybe not even put a shirt on. Who knows? I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to work. No one's above work when you need work, and you shouldn't be above work anyways. But you click on the link. Next thing you know, you can't find the job, and now you're getting weird texts from numbers asking if you want to take a test and make some money on a survey. You're getting emails that are just, hey, apply for this credit card. Don't worry about that link. Just press it. Don't question it. So that's problematic enough. So you want to push through it. LinkedIn is, first of all, the home for coke-addled CEO wannabes who just post this bizarre hustle culture, pat bumper sticker advice that's bizarre at best. And it's full of scam jobs, too. So I want to push past that. And I in the past, had the premium account. And I'm okay. I want to be sure. I like the idea of a free market. If you got a service and paying for it helps you, and that in turn helps me, I'll pay for it. LinkedIn Premium used to be $39.99 a month. So I figured, well, maybe for a month I need to suck that up. $40 is a lot, but let me do it. $79.99. I know there's different levels of it, but $39.99 to $79.99 is criminal. I signed up for the site Upwork to help myself get freelance work. Great, signed up, no fee. You see a job you like. I did. I found one pretty quick. Clicked on it to apply. I have to pay for connects. What are connects? These made up points that you use to connect with the job you want. You can't even apply unless you pay for $15 worth of quote unquote connects. All right, I got this job. $15 would be worth it. Apply for the job. Oh, hey, do you want your job application actually be seen by the person that's hiring? 10 more bucks, 10 more connects. Come on, put it to the top of the virtual pile. It's criminal. It's a racket. It's people at the lowest. We need work. I want to work. There's so many people like me who want to work, and we can't find the jobs. I'm not one of the type of people that want to sit in the past, but 50 cents for a newspaper and a classified ad wasn't something that led to a complete dead end on my both occupational, vocational, and financial future. We have disrupted the system to a point that it is completely destroyed again. And now we have these hacks. It should be criminal. It should be criminal that to the unemployed, desperate for some chance to survive, no matter where you are, you got to pay $80 a month just to look. You got to add $10 to your $15 fee just to try. It's criminal. There's other ways to find jobs. I'm trying to go direct. It's always better. Got it. Don't order food from any kind of service. Go to the restaurant, call it, pick it up, have it delivered. Got it. I'm trying. Everyone's trying. It's criminal what they're doing out there. Absolutely criminal. And if you got a job lead, let me know. All right. We are going to take calls here soon. LQ says this. Employers should be required to let you know they received your application, even if they're not interested in your resume. It's so disheartening. It's completely disheartening. And I know this is nothing new. Nothing new. And it's something that I am feeling, I have a fatally immediate need for work. It's a crisis level need for work. I'm willing to work anything. It's hard. You can't find it. And no one, it's a void. It's fucking void. Nerd Academy says it best here. Monetizing unemployment is why we need a revolution, sweet Jesus. Steve says, $80 just to look sounds dirty. It is dirty. Being unemployed poor is expensive. It's dirty because if you go to LinkedIn, which again, my friend Jack Conway, we were exchanging messages on LinkedIn. I've known Jack since 2009. We've worked on a lot of projects together, and I saw that he was a connection option. So I connected. I was like, hey, now we're finally friends. And he's like, yes, on this site that anyone who's employed full-time gets to ignore while you and I scramble for work. And he's absolutely true. We were talking about, like, there's no good jobs. That's their game, right? That's their game. That's the fucking game. Come here. You want to sign up to train AI? By the way, I did that once. I did that last time I needed a job. I said, fuck it. I'll train AI. I'll talk to the robots. I signed up for it. I took the test. I did the thing. Nothing. You don't hear anything. It's a lie. It's a scam. And now someone's probably getting information. That's why I'm getting texts about weird loan offers from reputable one-star sources. Oh, Matthew Stokes. I'm not, by the way, I'm not asking, but I really appreciate that. I absolutely love you, buddy. Next time I'm in the UK, drinks on me. I'm humbled by that kind of stuff. Thank you. Thank you. So anyways, a rant that I know is not new, a rant that I have no answers. So it's like a CEO wannabe on LinkedIn would say, if you don't have the answers, you don't have the solutions, well, then maybe there isn't a problem. Capitalism is the problem. This system. We got Grandpa Joe sitting up there on his way out. And I've been a defender. I'm sure we'll talk about this on Anytime Tomorrow. I have been a defender about Biden. I think history will show him to be a more effective president than people want to believe right now. I get it. We all got the suburban revolution ready to go. And I'm with you. Grab the guillotines, sharpen them up. But I think some history will settle some things. But it's out the window for me right now. For him to give a going-away speech with these great ideas that were never present. Where was the warning of the oligarchy? From him, from them, from the office. It's there. It's true. We are controlled by 6 madmen. And always, this has been the system. This is why I say the system has failed. And that's an up-down fight. An up-down fight. Oh, my gosh. 898 firms, right. It's like the military-industrial complex speech, which is perhaps the most famous of presidential exits. Eisenhower leaving, handing the baton over to a new generation of politicians and saying what ended up being very true. But it didn't work, right? The speech didn't work. When you're in the position, you have the power. I think that's why people lose faith on all sides, right? That's why it's so easy to have this, both sides. Look, I say one side has a better idea of what to do with the rights of human beings and such. I'm going to choose that side at the end of the day. And I know most people will too, right? I'm not one of those that's like, well, what are you going to vote for Trump then? No, I get it. It's right. It's okay to question. It's okay to question. We had this conversation on Force Center the other day on talking about the Skeletons Crew. It's okay to question because sometimes confirmation is what you get back. Sometimes confirmation is what you, and sometimes you get a new viewpoint, and it's important. And we all, we all get in those points. We all get in those spots. We get a little stubborn on things. So there you go. Okay, let's take some calls. How we do that? I want to check because sometimes I know he's got to go. It's Thursday night. Sometimes they broadcast another time. I'm bringing this guy on the show right now, Scotty Kissmanjero. I just gave you that nickname. How do you feel about that? Oh wait. Oh, hold on. I'm not hearing you, Scotty. It might be something on my end. So let me check, because I told you I'm having some problems. Let me see. Let me try again. All right. Still can't hear you. Okay. Don't worry. Everyone, don't worry. Probably my problem. Scotty, can you hear me now? Scotty, can you hear me? No, you can't. Okay, here. Don't freak out, everyone. Okay, Scotty, I'm going to remove you. I'm going to bring in Jared, the TIE pilot, and we're going to see if we can hear Jared, and that way we'll know if it's Scotty or me. Jared?
Hello?
Oh, okay. Guess what? You know what that means? Scotty J-Ro is the problem.
He's breaking shit. It's always Scotty. Scotty doesn't know.
Scotty, he's going to come back in, come back out. Okay. All right. Guess what? Jared, how does it feel to be my second choice?
I mean, there are worse things in life.
Beautiful. What is on your mind tonight? And are you going to call back one night for good, bad food?
Oh, always. Gotta love the good food debate. Because, again, there are good hot sandwiches, Ken. Just not pastrami or whatever the hell that other crap we were talking about.
I know. I think I backed myself into a corner on that. I realized I liked more hot sandwiches than I thought. For anyone wondering, check out previous episodes. Did we do that on Monday, or that was last week? That was last week.
That was last week, yeah. But I want to get right to it because I thought of a fun little thing for you, Mr. Baseball, this week.
Okay, hit me, yeah.
So I want you to build your fantasy team, but my stipulation is you have to take one player from each decade, starting with the 30s, coming up to bring it to the 2010s.
Okay. All right.
So one player from each decade. So a player from 1930 to 1939. And this and going through that will get you 9 players, so you'll get all 9 positions.
Okay. Up to the 2010s?
Yep. So you're going the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, the aughts, and the 10s.
Okay. One player from each to cover each position?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going 1930s. My first baseman is Lou Gehrig.
Fine choice.
Okay. 1940s. I am gonna go. I'm going Bob Feller. How much did Bob Feller pitch in the 40s?
Oh God, you would know better than me.
I'm looking this up. He pitched well. He had 2 no-hitters, 1940, 1946, and then 51. Okay, so Bob Feller, pitcher. Okay. I'm going to go. Oh, man, this is. Of course, producer Steve says, I love this. You. Of course, 1950s, I'm going to go center field, Willie Mays. Okay.
I mean, I feel that one's off.
Yeah. Okay. 1960s. Oh, God. Here we go. 1960s. I am going to go right field. Hammer and Hank Aaron.
Okay.
1970s. I am going to go. Look, it's. Is there a morality clause in this, Jared?
Nah. Wherever you want to take this.
I'll tell you what. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep with my morals, but I'm gonna go second base, Cincinnati Reds, Joe Morgan. I was gonna go the other way. I was gonna go with the other Red. I think you know how I was gonna go. Okay. And then 1980s. I'm gonna jump to the 90s. I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
I'm gonna lock in my closer, even though he wasn't completely dominant the entire decade, but I'm going my closer, my relief pitcher, Dennis Eckersley. Is that factor in, or would that mess up your system?
I mean, we can have fun with it, but the original was just the
No,
9 straight positions.
it messes up your system. You can
Okay.
tell me. Okay, so we're gonna go with the catcher from the '80s. You damn well know I'm gonna do it. Gary Carter, my guy Gary. Okay, so I need a third baseman, a shortstop, and a left fielder. Okay, I'm gonna go. I am gonna go a third baseman. Oh my God, it gets tough. I'm gonna a shortstop. Okay. Two. We're gonna go. I hate him.
See,
I hate him.
those old decades are easy because you can only pick out a couple here and there. Now you're getting into the those 90s on. It's just like, ooh, wait a minute.
I'm gonna go shortstop. I'm gonna go shortstop for the 2000s. Alex Rodriguez.
Why am I not surprised?
I don't like him, and his career is tainted. But before all that, he was the best player in the game, right? And so I'm going to cheat a little bit. Okay, you ready for me to cheat?
Oh God,
I'm going back to the '90s, and I need a left fielder, but he would have to move positions. Is that okay?
That's fine with me.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Really?
He's a center fielder, but I'm going to slide him.
No, I'm just like it's an interest because of there's no other. All right, I'm going to see where you finish with this. All right, keep going.
Well, the only thing I need is a third baseman from the 2010s. I have no fucking clue who I'm going to pick.
Oh God!
People are saying Evan Longoria. He's good looking, but he fell off the cliff so fast. So I'm going to go third base, 2010s. He was already injured. I was going to say David Wright, but his career kind of faded early on.
I was going to say Brandon Hanna just gave you David Wright in the comments too.
He's good though. He's good. All right, I'm going to cheat on this one. I'm just going to type in. Because this is kind of where I stopped watching as close. So I just need a little. I need a little bit of. You know, where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Hall of Famer, Adrian Beltre.
I mean, Hall of Fame's usually a good place to look.
He's underrated. He just had such a long, quiet career. You forget he's one of the greatest stat-wise. Nolan Arenado. Yeah, I'm going Beltre. David Wright got hurt too much late, so he would have been earlier. That was tough. That's tough. Oh my God, Jared, that was great.
My surprise one from you though is moving Junior from center to left.
Are you?
Because my questions are you're eliminating. I feel like a lot of good batters from left field. Like again, a situation if I don't like the guy, but Manny Ramirez from those early 2000s. That boy could. He could, they could bomb those balls. Left field's not necessarily the most difficult position.
And I noticed
that's why I love.
We don't have a DH. We don't have a DH. So can we add a DH?
Let's add a DH.
1920s. Babe Ruth. You ever heard of him? Ever heard of Babe Ruth, kid? Or are you from Boston and you forget what happened?
No. Okay. We sold him in 1912 for a silly musical that nobody saw.
No, Nanette. A musical cover. I wonder if Addie's seen No, Nanette. We're gonna ask her that when she shows up.
I love how you give Addie the time of day with the musicals, but DS9, no.
Nah. Did they have a song? Does anyone start singing
songs? It's a baseball episode in DS9.
All right. They start singing songs in it. That's all I care. Jared, this is amazing. This is amazing. This is the Sultan of SWAT. He invented chocolate bars. This is really tough. So I cheated, put 1920s designated hitter Babe Ruth, 1930s Lou Gehrig, the Iron Horse, Bob Feller, my starting pitcher from the 40s, 1950s Mays. So I'll explain that. Let me read the line. 60s Hammer and Hank Aaron. I'm putting him in right field. 1970s Joe Morgan, second base, like two-time MVP. My catcher is Gary Carter. Could have gone bench with the 70s. Maybe got a different player for second base in the 80s, but Gary's my guy. 1990s, Ken Griffey Jr., swapping him, putting him in left field. And A-Rod in 2000s at shortstop. Like, Jared, I hate to do it. 2010, Adrian Beltre at third base. To answer your question, Bonds was going to be the player I was going to pick. And Barry was amazing to watch even before it all. It's been a lot of, I get it, and I just don't know. Put him on the ballot, or didn't they? They did put him on the ballot, and he just didn't get it.
It was something like that, yeah.
It's the cloud that hangs over baseball. He was still a beauty to watch. But in left field, he wasn't as good towards the end because it's hard to move when you're made of just rocks. Griffey Jr. is one of the all-time great players. Injuries robbed a little bit of his success, but I think he did all right. But I don't think if I went to Ken Griffey Jr. with his backward hat on that pissed Buck Showalter off and on, and I said, I'm moving Willie Mays to left, you're going to center field, he'd say, absolutely not. Put me in left. Put me in left, coach. Mays has got center. So that's where I go.
I mean, it's fair points. Can't really argue that one.
Brandon Hanna, who's going to be on the show Saturday, says I would have held on starting pitcher for Greg Maddux in the 1990s. Well, that's why you're a kid. All right, kid. I'm going with Bob Feller. Maddux is great too. Maddux is actually one of my favorites. Jared, this is great. I love this.
Yeah, of course. Actually, here we go. Bonus round. Any decade. Give me who's our manager?
Any decade manager. I will go. I will go. Everyone goes to Casey Stengel, but I'd go John McGraw from the 2000 or from the 1900s. If we can cheat there.
Yep, that's any. I said any.
Okay, if it's after that, I don't know. Lasorda, LaRussa, I don't know. It's tough to say. There's a lot of modern managers I think have surpassed some of the managers of old. It's a different style. But I just think John McGraw, even though he was an old school guy, Miller Huggins too. And Ralph Houck. There's a lot of things that Ralph Houck pitching rotations and stuff like that. But I think McGraw helped build modern baseball more than even he would probably want to admit. All right.
Well,
that was wonderful. Great
that
stuff,
was good
Jared.
times.
I'm going to take Scotty, my first choice. Okay.
Always. I mean, I've got to go say some more in the chat, so you got to yell at me to shut up again or something.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Jared.
All right, brother. You stay safe. Have a good one.
I will. All right, Scotty is in. Scotty, do you actually have sound? Oh, there you go.
There you are, buddy. Hi.
I'm good, man. How are you doing? How you feeling, buddy? Let me recap for the people who might have missed it or just jumping in. Scotty J, co-host of the Bomb Badcast with some kid named Jerry the Cannon Junkie, who just had a great interview on my channel this week, is going to Star Wars Celebration Tokyo. But more than just that, he's got a panel that is all about midichlorians. Scotty, tell me about it.
Okay, so before I do that, I have to plug that episode you did with Jerry because I've listened to it all the way through twice now.
Oh, that's why
I'll tell you why.
Good views for my humble channel.
I'm telling you why, because it got so real at some moments. Because Jerry and I have talked ad nauseum about his situation, his trauma and stuff, and like truly, I've heard it told to me, but being told like in a public facing way. He approached it so eloquently, and so did you. I mean, I don't know your true, I guess, tumultuous relationship with all of it, but I can tell you that a lot of us go through it. I've gone through it. I found my own, I guess, solidarity and my own personal thoughts and stuff. But to hear y'all process it together into like there was a moment where y'all like shared similar experiences, though belonging to two different sects of a religion. It was just. It was fascinating. The Council of Elders just sounds so Star Wars, but that kind of stuff exists, and it's really weird and like, I don't know, man. And should we have a kitchen in the church or in the activity center? But it's like, dude, you get so caught up in the weeds of that kind of stuff, and hearing y'all talk about it really was super cathartic. But no, that was tremendous, and thank you for doing that because a lot of people don't share that kind of stuff.
Well, more on the way. Getting some guests lined up for that. I'm also getting other guests on for just regular conversations. I'm locking it in. It's locked in enough, but I can announce that I've got Dan Larson from Secret Galaxy. If y'all watch that YouTube channel, and you should, if you don't. Dan Larson's coming on soon. We're going to talk about a lot of things, not necessarily religious drama, but a lot of how we feel pop culture and the white men that populate it have kind of led us down some destructive paths that there's a lot of responsibility they have for what's gone on in the world. So anyway, it's going to be interesting, but also going to be fun and silly too. So thank you for that. I need that.
Of course. It was beautifully heavy. And I think it's
Beautifully heavy.
It's gotta be, you know,
Yeah.
it's not fun to talk about whenever you're being confronted with it, but to confront it with someone else, that honestly makes it way easier to approach a very difficult topic like that. So good job.
I love it. I love it. And thank you for those in the chat. David McKay saying great episode. I appreciate that. Cause it was, I'm not, I hate to pat myself on the back. It isn't that. I just like, it's something that, you know, I clearly, as you can tell in the episode, I'm still working through some things, you know, where I'm like, I'm not trying to throw God out with the bathwater. I'm just trying to have some kind of sense of responsibility taken by these organizations who have absolutely led us down some of our destructive paths and refused to let go. And it's been a journey. But anyway, Scotty, appreciate it, buddy.
Of course, dude. I'm glad to have you here. Yeah, no, the news I got today about that panel that you mentioned earlier was quite shocking.
Hold on, Scotty. You said it's good to have me here. This is my show. You're here. I want to make sure.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
maybe your live stream. No, I joke. Tell me. So tell us about what this panel. Other than hey, it's about midichlorians. Don't give away any secrets.
I won't.
If anyone has not watched your wonderful, I say it's a lesson. It's more than a video essay. It is your teaching skills coming to life inside Star Wars, which is just wonderful. And I hope you do more of that and more of that and more of that. But tell us about the panel.
This should be a little bit more TED Talky in the sense of delivery and approach, kind of mixed with a big inspiration of mine, Joseph Campbell's lecture style.
Yes.
I want everything to feel very matter of fact, very, warm and welcoming, but still stick to the point of, being a teacher and the difficulties that goes with teaching. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I want people to leave feeling like my students after. So I'm not going to be talking at you. I'm going to be talking for you and with you and for you to take things in. It goes into a much deeper area than my video essay does, in the sense that it kind of, I would say about 10 minutes will be focusing on the video essay and like summarizing what I went through to explain all that and the ideas behind it. But we'll be watching videos together. We'll be looking at direct quotes from George Lucas. We're going to talk about The Acolyte, The Bad Batch, all those things that came out since that video release last February. And I've started really working on it. You're going to feel like a middle school student when you watch it. We may even be doing a breathing exercise. So like, I'm not kidding. Like I want everyone to understand and focus that, it is all about what's within you and the things around you and how important that is. But yeah, dude, I'm very excited. I can see myself. I'm going to probably buy a 3-piece suit. Like I want people to, leave going, damn, that was a actual lecture and it's something unique and something different, and I'm not talking poorly about any of our friends that do the same exact stuff, but you go to these fan panels and a lot of them are really good and a lot of them are just, two people talking to each other and they're good, but I want you to go, whoa, leave.
I'm going to let me be the grump because I've been in the space a lot longer than most of you. Most panels absolutely suck. I do not like panels. I do not like being, hosting them. I'll be on them. I don't. They're bad. They're bad.
Yeah.
Not all. And again, you ask, I'll be there. And sometimes it's an attendance issue, which isn't even the panelist's fault. There was one time at LA Comic-Con, I was on a wonderful, fun panel that's about music and film. 6 of us were on the stage, 2 people in the audience, and that's common. And not everything's Hall H, and I'm not saying that. But what I like about what you're saying, again, allow me to be the grumpy grouch that also heralds you. Panels, much like being guests on podcasts or sitting there streaming video games, it's a form of entertainment, and it needs to be approached as such, even if there's no planning and it's freewheeling and off the cuff. You've got to form some sort of character to be up on stage, to entertain, and to do it in a good way. And so many panels are just like, welcome to the, all right, to my left here is, you've heard them. Scotty, I love what you're doing. You and I should talk off air. We need to go on tour across the country doing Star Wars talks.
I'm telling you, honest to God, I had someone reach out to me today and says, if you want to give this talk, a good friend of mine somewhere else, they're connected with all Think Fan Expo, and they're like, if you want to do this, like after Celebration, I can hook you up. And Ken, we could knock it out together, man.
Let's talk. All right, let's not give away our secrets now. I don't trust Jared the Dark Jedi. He might steal some of our ideas. I don't trust him. I don't trust.
But no, Ken, thank you again for honestly having me on to plug that, because I'm starting this weekend. I've got parent teacher conference tomorrow, and then I've got 3-day weekend and for Martin Luther King Day, and possibly a snow day Tuesday. So this panel will be done by Tuesday. That's my plan.
It is the end of the world. So we're all going to have snow days on Tuesday eventually. Scotty, I love it. We'll talk offline. Get you on Force Center right before everyone heads out to Tokyo. I'm heartbroken I can't go this year. It's just not in the cards. Smarter for me to stay back and do the responsible thing for my life and pocketbook. But I wish I could be there. Yours would be a panel I would attend.
Of course, that's an honor.
Thank you, Scotty. Yes, buddy.
Love you, brother. Stay Bombad, kid.
I'm gonna stay Bombad only if you do first. Scotty J-Ro there. Brandon Hanna says, I love hosting a panel. Feeds my ego. And I get free Comic-Con tickets out of it. Win-win. Brandon Hanna's not wrong. And by the way, Brandon Hanna and Scoundrels Inc., they didn't invite me on the panel. And maybe that's why I'm bitter. No, and they had great panels. And they had good ideas. And it was fun. It was entertaining. There's a lot of people that do it right. I want to be clear. I just get frustrated with the amount of people that do it wrong. A panel is not guaranteed success for just being there. You got to have a different approach to it. All right. We've got picks at the top of the hour. Let me check. Look at this. I actually made. Oh, yeah. Here's what I made a rundown tonight. Look at me, kids. I'm all grows up. And the last thing on the rundown, I didn't make sense. Tease Hannah. And I was like, well, I just did. I just teased Brandon Hanna. No, Saturday on the live show will be live at 4 p.m. Pacific. Brandon Hanna's going to be on the show. We're going to talk about, quite frankly, anything he wants to talk about, but we're going to talk about maybe some climate science, maybe some climate collapse, and maybe some fun aspects around it. Maybe we can make it entertaining. But Brandon is going to be on the show a lot going forward when he can, when I'm streaming on Saturday, so we can support his wonderful work and his channel. And he's got a lot of science and pop culture stuff, which is great. And he and I are the leading Climate Town fans in the greater Burbank area. All right, we got picks at the top of the hour. I want to catch up. I got Jared. Jared, you good to wait for one call? Give me a thumbs up. He is. All right, coming in back to the show. She was on vacation last week and assigned me homework that I'm halfway through. It's been a weird week in LA. I'm gonna take the out of the weird week in LA. Addie's back on the show. How you doing? What's on your mind?
I'm excited to hear we're going to talk science.
Science, yeah. You know science. We'll teach science.
I'll talk science all night. Let's go.
Have you ever yelled this out with Jared just put in chat? Science, bitch. I think that should be a ringtone.
No, but I've had that yelled at me.
Zinger! Mic drop. Addie, how's your travels? How are you doing? What did you do? What do you got for us? Where are we going?
Oh, I ran very far and then attempted to trade my voice to a sea witch for a new set of legs.
That sounds like quite a... I was trying to get the... Where did it go? We had this problem on the Wangers last time, too. Where is the applause? Where's the applause? There it is. All right. That was bad radio, producer Steve. That's the applause for you running very far.
Thank you. It was a good time. It sucked a little bit. Well, it sucked a lot, but it sucked a little bit.
Isn't that kind of what life is? It sucked a little bit. Hell, it sucked a lot, but it was fun.
No, the morning of the full marathon at about 4 a.m., the girl I was supposed to run with informed me that she was not going to run with me, and then left me within the first mile. So that was a
Wait a minute. Hold
that,
on.
that
Hold
was
on.
something.
There's drama in the running world. So this is a marathon training partner you had?
Yeah.
You could call her out. Is her name Science Bitch? We'll say it. We'll say it. So you trained for a long time, right? This isn't like a couple weekend follow-ups. You and her trained? Her, I'm assuming her, but that's maybe incorrect of me.
Yeah, no. So to be fair, we trained virtually because she lives in Wisconsin and I do not.
Okay, I'm gonna have to ask how that works. Do you carry a laptop or phone while you're running? What's the deal with that?
No, you just you train and then you text the other one and see how it's going.
Okay, an accountability group. Okay.
Yeah.
Me and Scotty J-Ro have that. We have an app on our phone that tracks the dirty sites we watch, and we text each other to make sure that we're still looking. So, okay, I got it. Accountability. So she shows up at 4 a.m., says, I'm out.
Well, because the race started at 4:30.
Okay.
So yeah, she informs me in the corral that morning that the day before we had run too slow and she doesn't want to do that again. But she'll stick with me for the first 10 miles, and then within the first mile, she was gone.
She shamed you.
Mm-hmm.
She shamed you. First of all, may I ask, how fast were your miles? What was the metric that this was measured against?
So the day before, we ran solid 13:30 miles because it was raining and humid. So
yeah, look,
like
I ran a 6-minute 5-second mile once in 9th grade. I averaged 16 minutes after that. I don't know what the hell happened in 9th grade. 13 minutes in the humidity and rain. You're good, Addie. You're good.
Yeah. So, but that was too slow for her, and yeah, it just that was a thing. So
Okay.
I wound up running the full marathon alone. There was a really
Okay.
cool mile that I thought of you and the Force Center crew. Jen Landa would have loved it.
Okay.
From miles 14 to 15, you're running from the Magic Kingdom to the Animal Kingdom on these back roads. It's
Nice.
like it's just trees and a road.
That's beautiful.
At one point, you run past the Walt Disney sewage plant, which we were all thankful it was cold that day, so it didn't smell too bad.
Okay. Okay.
But from mile 14 to 15, it's a 2-lane road. You're surrounded by trees, and they had set up smoke machines and lights, and they were playing the audio track from Return of the Jedi, and it sounded like the Ewoks were fighting the Empire in the woods.
Oh.
It was amazing.
I don't run.
Absolutely amazing.
I don't run, but I would have just jumped in for that mile. I would have died. I would have paid the price of death to experience that. That sounds fun.
You start off and they're fighting, and you get to mile 15, and by the end the Ewoks are victorious and Chewie's cheering, and it was fantastic.
That's beautiful. LQ says, by the way, that's not slow, Addie. You have fans here. Okay, you have friends here, Addie, with your mile time.
Thank you. I wound up, it was only my second marathon. I wound up setting a new personal best by more than 20 minutes. So.
Love it. Love it. So, and what happened to her? I hope at one point she fell and bruised her knees and, was shamed publicly. What happened?
My mom was my mom was waiting for me in the final mile to cheer me on, and she said she only finished like 15 minutes ahead of me.
See? F this. You were a hero. You did it. You set a goal and you did it.
I did.
That's big.
I did.
That's fantastic. Laserbolt says that's fantastic. And Laserbolt would know. He cooks meat in the forest. All right? I trust a man who cooks meat in the forest.
I do too.
That's amazing. Those
are the skills
Addie.
We're all going to need.
What are you going to conquer next?
I do not know. I am not going to run for a few months. I have decided that. I'm gonna do other things to stay active, but I'm
That's fair.
Training for those 4 races was a 6-month endeavor.
No.
The training volume for those races is insane. The time commitment, like I'm going up for tenure in a couple years. Like I've got stuff to do.
That's a great goal. Tenure.
So
tenure.
Yeah.
No. I applaud you. I cannot run. I also, not only physically, mentally, I can't keep myself entertained for that long on a straight line. I can't do it. So I really, truly hats off to Addie and anyone out there chasing your marathon goals. So I like this 10-year being next, and then we'll figure out some goals. We'll figure out some goals here on the show for you.
That sounds good.
And then Addie, I do the final thing here. I got to get to Jared, then we got to get the football picks. Now, 8984M, Brady promised me he'd shut his mouth. But I did something at a stand-up show that you and some others, you just can't hear, okay? I hope you're going to be okay with that.
I watched Wicked 5 times in the hotel while I was gone. So,
I didn't.
It all balances out.
I didn't. That's what but 8984M can attest it was received in a very fun manner, what I said on stage, okay? I told him after the show, I said, you cannot tell Addie. Cannot tell Addie.
It's all in good fun, Ken. It's all in good fun.
Absolutely is. Addie, we're really proud of you here, okay? And we love when you call in, but we love when you share big wins like that. And jokes aside about your running partner, big win for you. Big win for you.
Yeah, as my mother said, you can do anything and you don't need anyone. That's what you just proved.
That's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Life goals.
Yep.
You should launch a podcast called Another Monday Morning Show and just share that advice.
It'd be a very short podcast.
Hey, I wish mine were shorter. But not tonight. We're having a lot of fun. Addie, thanks for calling in, and I'm glad you're back. And I got the playlist up, and on Saturdays, that's when I listen to some YouTube stuff. Don't you worry. I'm not leaving you hanging on the theater music.
We will get there, Ken. I know we will. I trust that you like my students will eventually do your homework.
We'll get there. We're going to get there. He's going to get there. He's going to get there. Yeah. Okay.
I look forward to Science Saturday.
Science Saturday with Brandon Hanna.
Let me know if you need some help.
You tune in. Well, we might, because I'm a dummy. You know that. All right, Addie, thanks for calling in. Going to get to Addie, or we're going to get to Jared here. Good to have Addie back on the show. We miss Addie when she's not here calling in. Mike Fink's in chat. Let's go Ravens. Let's go Ravens. Very happy to have Mike Fink here, and very happy to know that Mike Fink has a house to return to. As the shadow of what's happened in LA still hangs over all of us. So a lot of people I know who maybe left town still aren't back. I know people still aren't back in their houses. One friend didn't have power for 5 days, and that's the best case scenarios. We all know someone who's lost everything. So good to hear that, and good to hear that Mike Fink is back home. That's good. And we'll try to move forward together. All right. It's always an absolute pleasure when you can call into the show. But Jared from the Nerd Academy podcast, aka Jared the Dark Jedi, is here. And unlike his friend Scotty J-Ro, I'm going to assume he knows how to work sound. How are you doing, Jared?
I'm doing pretty good. Scotty can boast about all his trivia wins as much as he wants. I'm the actual professional here. Anyway.
Yes.
Yes.
What's
also,
up, buddy?
I'm good. Much love to Mike Fink. But get those dirty fucking birds out of here. I'm still upset. I'm still up. The year I finally get into football for real.
For real?
For real. I watched the Steelers just piss the bed in a magnificent way, and it broke my heart.
I want to get to what you want to ask me here. We got football picks at the top of the hour, but this is fascinating to me because you're a Yinzer. You're a Pittsburgh guy, right? Born and bred?
Born and bred. I spent most of my life about 40 minutes out of Pittsburgh, and now live basically in the city with my girlfriend. So yeah.
I can't wait to get to the city because I hear great things. Josh McCouga will not shut the hell up about it, but I hear great things. So you born and bred, raised on Dave Filoni's lap in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But this is the year you got into Steelers football for real, you said. What's your relationship to football before that? You are a nerd like me, but I love when nerds love sports. I don't need every nerd to love sports. I don't need every sports fan to love nerd stuff, but I love when they cross over. Tell me a little bit about why this year.
It's funny. I always kind of like passively was like, I was very much like a passive, like, because sports is just so in the DNA of like Pittsburgh.
Right.
And that's the case for most towns, but like Pittsburgh, like
especially Pittsburgh,
it's especially like you can go to any state, any country on this planet, in the whatever, there's Steeler shit somewhere. There's
There is,
people wearing Pirates hats in like Zimbabwe. Like,
yeah,
you know, there are people who ride and die for the Pens in Europe. It's incredible.
Yeah. In LA, I will admit, in LA, there are areas where if you see pirate hats, you were not
That's
in the
Piru,
right area.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Pacoima Piru Bloods, check it in. But I have fought some in my day. But there are a large amount of Pittsburgh Steelers sports bars in town here.
Yeah, I believe
A
it.
large amount.
I believe that 100%. No, so there was always something kind of going on in the background. Last year into this year, I had my like last hurrah working in the service industry before I had to
Okay.
officially hang it up. And I worked at a joint called Tom's Watch Bar, which is a chain that's all over the country. Wonderful people who worked there. But the whole thing was like, it is like, it's kind of like the platonic ideal of like a sports bar. Like it's like the sports bar on steroids. There were like over 100 TVs in this fucking place. I'm cussing more than I normally do. I apologize. But like there's just literally every square inch of wall was televisions. And the bar was basically sandwiched directly in between within walking distance of PNC Park and the artist formerly known as Heinz Field, Acrisure Stadium. And I was like, oh, like this will be cool, whatever. And getting to watch the Steelers season last year, as middling as it was, in a room that was like 200 people deep who were as diehard as you got, that was the moment I was like, oh man, this is actually really fun. And like by like the mid point of the season, I was like legitimately invested. And this year, no longer working there, is like the season was getting ready to happen. I was like, I think I need to get YouTube TV.
Yes.
Because I want to watch what happens now. I'm actually invested. So that's what did me in. Like I got to go to my first Steelers game this year. My buddy had tickets, and like that person fell through, and he was like, hey man, I know you're not a sports guy. You know, it's like I made it to 26 living in Pittsburgh and did not give a damn about the Steelers until now, in the same way that my entire family makes fun of me for the fact that it took me 26 years to get into wrestling.
I mean,
you know, it wasn't until last year that I was like, I got super into WWE and became the biggest mark for Cody Rhodes to walk the earth. Like it just all happened at once. Same thing happened with me just becoming a Steelers guy.
I absolutely love this on all angles. Now I'm fascinated with it, and there's dark side to sports. There's dark side to sports fans, without a doubt. But I think that's just across the board. I think sports fans can just be a little bit more vocal about it, and perhaps even at times more deadly about it. But I think you got to push past that to find the lessons, the joy, the community, the experience, the ups and downs. I do think sports teaches you a lot, and that includes watching it. So I'm in with you there. That's great. That's great. Great to hear. Where do you want to go, buddy? I got picks at the top of the hour, but I want to hear from you. What do you got?
You know, this is like the second or third time I've called in, because normally you got something going on. God, that was such a gut punch. It's not fair, the situation you're dealing with, man. Like, and I know you barely know me from Adam. You mostly know me through Alden, which the fact that you have a favorable opinion of me through him is astounding.
I mean, the fact that I have a favorable opinion of Alden has been a stretch for years, but let's,
I mean, he's just nothing but successful charisma checks, and it's not fair. No, it's deeply fucked up. And like, I used LinkedIn for about a week and a half and was like, this is unusable. I became an Indeed guy. Funnily enough, that's how I ended up at Tom's Watch Bar, is because I was using Indeed for the first time, looking for a second job. And I kept getting all of these prompts about like tests Indeed wanted me to take so that they could add that to my resume. And I kept thinking that because that they told me that I should take that test, that meant that the application didn't go through. And Tom's Watch Bar, it was about to open up. They were looking for their like inaugural staff. And the gentleman who interviewed me, he was like, yeah, so, you know, we saw you were interested in the job. You applied 18 times for 5 different positions. It was like, we were surprised you didn't apply to be Tom. I was like, Yeah, I don't know how Indeed works. I'd like to delete it if you'd have me.
That's
But
great.
no, I mean the market is so insane. It breaks my heart. Like I'm very grateful. Like, day job is in retail, and part of me hates it so much.
Sure.
Like we're working in a mall in 2024 into 2025. It's a wild time. Like we had but thankfully ended up being a false alarm, like active shooter false alarm, like right before Christmas. It was a whole thing. But like, I got lucky. Like I got poached from my old job from the guys who used to run the store that I now am a part of. And it's just it deeply upsets me as somebody who has been a fan of yours since I was a friggin' teenager, that like your talent is not recognized in the capacity it should be. And there's a lot of people who are making bank doing the things you and I want to be doing full time that are hack, fraud, carny hucksters, and it's just bullshit. And there's just a part of me that just wanted to put that on the record and just say it's horse shit. And I'm sorry, bro.
I appreciate the words, and also I'm on Indeed, but I'm going to start making sure I use it to fuller potential based on what you're saying there. I think, but around this time last year, I had a bit of a very public nervous breakdown over a lot of it, my situation and things. Thanks to, I will publicly credit my friend Jennifer Muro, great writer on so many wonderful things, Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, and more, who got me a gig that got me through the year, and that's been fun. And I kind of might have some things to do with them, but it's not a regular thing anymore, which is their decision to make. Not worried about that. But the difference between now, and I hear what you're saying and acknowledge it, is I am going to, much like I say when I'm on stage, energy out, and not just positive manifesting energy, none of that, just like energy out to do what I want to do. Blathering 3 nights a week is just the start of what I want to do more of. Force Center rolls on, and that's what's frustrating too, is I get to do a lot of this and get to do it full time. I've hacked out a living out of the wilderness. But the biggest thing, and I think I'm going to talk about this on my show Monday morning, is in my lesson, in my pass on thing to you and to Alden and anyone who still has dreams of doing more of this, is the biggest mistake I've made is to not have forward thinking, to not have long-term ideas or long-term planning, which leads to commitment. You're going to have your jobs. You're going to work in a retail job that maybe you don't like right now, but it's helping you. Hold on to that. Don't leave that too soon. And I didn't leave my job too soon. I left my job at the right time back in the mall days. But you know what I mean? And I've made some decisions this week that have long-term effects attached to them. And I'm very proud of myself. So even though I'm scrambling right now, this is one of the things, even my ASMR channel. And the thing that those grifters have, or just folks who are just selling some bullshit and making money off of it, or just doing their thing, but it has no poignancy to it, which I don't have a problem with, by the way, because I want to do a segment where we talk about good, bad food. That's important too, but there's lack of sincerity and poignancy in a lot of those shows. The thing that they have, Jared, that maybe guys like you and I, or folks like you and I don't have, is they just don't question themselves at any point. They just do it, which is dangerous, but they just do it. I spend most of my life questioning if I belong. I've decided to belong. And that's the thing I've got for me this time that I didn't have last year. And that's what I want you to have. That's what I want Alden to have. That's what I want anyone listening to have.
Absolutely. I mean, like, it's the entertainer's Dunning-Kruger, where you just have a bunch of people who, the louder and more, bombastic they can be it in their rhetoric or literally hollering like a madman, that's the selling point. That's where it begins and ends. And, I take pride in being in community with people like you and Alden and Scotty and Eli, who they have a vision. They have a vision. Yeah. It may not get the eyeballs it deserves, but I'd rather know we found out a couple weeks ago 40 guest spots on the Bombad cast before I waste my time on content as a slur. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it might be platitudes and whatever it is, but you are sincerely an inspiration to just about the entire sub generation of people who followed in the footsteps of your forces centers and Jedi's councils And I know it's not much when you're kind of looking into a very dark forest, but just know that is something that we all hold on to very dearly.
I really appreciate your words, well spoken, and it means a lot. And yeah, I'm stronger than I was a year ago, and I'm going to be stronger a year from now. So I'm excited to do that. We just got to get through some dark times, and that's okay. And perspective, man. I got friends who no homes to return to.
Yeah.
Eli went through a whole bunch this week on that. Perspective helps. I hate how we have to earn it sometimes, and I hate that it's so easy to point at someone else's loss and say, well, that's giving me perspective. So I'm trying not to say that with hollow words, but also just the state of the world overall. And plugging into the world also has helped me too, where when you plug into the world or even just on read a news story and more concerned about someone else than yourself, you move off your own egocentric kind of woe is me. And not that depression's not real and any of this stuff's not real. I'm not toxic positive here. I'm just saying it's helped me to move off myself, and that helps me move forward as well.
I think there's a very big, as a last word, and I'll shut up because you got to do football picks. I think there's a very big difference between toxic positivity and like a radical relationship with hope. Maybe I watched too much Star Wars as a kid, and as an adult, but I firmly believe like hope is not something you have; it's something you got to choose to kind of equip yourself with. And that's how you tough it out with this stuff. But keep on keeping on, man. You're the goat, and it's well earned.
I appreciate it. Great stuff. A radical. Would you say a radical relationship with hope?
Yes,
that's beautiful. I love
Thank
it.
you.
Let's print some T-shirts. Jared, everybody. Jared's got the great show, the Nerd Academy podcast. Jared, what's the best way for them to find it? Just search that on podcast. You want YouTube? Where do you want them?
Yeah, I mean, we're whatever's easiest for you. You got the Nerd Academy YouTube channel. If you want to look at me and all my flamboyant shirts, you can listen to it. Also, the Star Wars RPG show I'm a part of, Ionized Bastards. Final season starts on the 31st. We just recorded the first episode of the final season. It's me, it's Alden, Jerry from the Bombad cast, and it's on the All Remaining Systems YouTube channel. It's my favorite thing I've ever gotten to be a part of, and I'm so excited for this final chapter.
Love it, my friend. Keep doing the work. Follow Jared, everybody, if you want some good, damn solid Star Wars entertainment. Thank you, Jared. Call in again, okay?
Thank you, man.
All right, Jared, the Dark Jedi from the Nerd Academy. We got some calls lined up here. We got Brennan still. Brennan's been so patient tonight. I'm going to get to Brennan. We got Jonathan. We got Michael. The detective's calling in. I'm so excited. But we have got right now, and it's camera time here. We've got our buddy, producer Steve. We got some big picks coming. But first, as always, how are you, my friend? How are you?
Hey, Ken. Thank you so much for having me, as always. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you. No, we're doing all right. We pretty good week. We'll get to football. I just have to say off the top, crushed it last week. So you redeemed yourself after that stumble at the end of the regular season. So very happy for that.
Right.
Didn't bet on you last week, unfortunately. I kind of wish I did now, but
I thought I should have bet on myself.
Yeah. Don't gamble, kids. Don't
gamble. We're gonna have to.
Not okay.
I need two things. I need my DraftKings promotional code plug here, and then I need just to record a PSA that says "Don't gamble and don't listen to Ken about his picks."
What I'll do is next time I'll just add a little scroller at the bottom of my camera that just says "Don't gamble, kids," and it'll just continuously. So that way we don't get sued or anything too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
No one like get demonetized for gambling advice or something.
Yeah, exactly. So. But I'm 5-1, and that's a good way to get into it.
Yeah,
but anything else on your mind before we get in the NFL picks?
Yeah, no, I got a few things. First thing, you were talking earlier about like getting random like advertisements for jobs and stuff like that. Yeah. And it reminded me of a funny thing I used to do when I was a kid, or almost teenager in the late 90s, early 2000s. My mom worked at a mall. She was a manager of a cutlery and collectibles store. Okay, so she sold like high-end kitchen knives, but also swords. So like legit mall ninja shit, right?
Love this.
Yes.
Oh God, I love malls at the peak.
Oh yeah. Oh no, this was early. Yeah, so I was a mall rat kid for like 3 summers. I was a total mall rat kid. I spent my summers at the mall because my mom was at work. She didn't want me burning the house down, so I would hang out at the store. It was a pretty chill store and hang out at the mall. So I knew everybody at all the stores at the mall and everything. So anyway, they sold cutlery and swords. I just remember I would always like try to take the swords off the wall and like clean them to like look cool when people came in the store. So yeah, they had all like the Lord of the Rings swords and everything. Anyway, that's not the story. The story is there was these random jobs you could get in the mall where people would like stand around the food court and be like, "Hey, would you like to take a survey? We'll give you like, so you could like." And even like kids, I was 11 years old and they would let me do this, right? And like, late 90s, early 2000s. And you would like, they'd take you to kind of a seedy back room somewhere behind the food court. And you would like sit in a quiet, like fluorescent lit room all by yourself. And they'd give you a piece of paper and you would just fill out a survey. And it didn't matter how much you did. It was about the time. So you had to be in there for 60 minutes. So if they would just keep giving you surveys until you had been there for an hour. So this was data collection before everything was on our phones, right?
Yep.
And then they'd be like, all right, here's $30 at the end. And then you could only do it once a week. So that's my random work at the mall story.
I do online surveys now for about $30 a month because it's such a racket. And I'm sure my information's all over communist China. TikTok be damned. But I do it. But there used to be one at the mall I worked at, Northwood Fashion Center. And at one point, be careful, kids. This is my warning. One of my old security directors had gone through a divorce or was going through a divorce. He had 2 kids. He was retired school police lieutenant, but now he was doing this director job. It was all his money was just hemorrhaging. And he would sneak off and he'd go do surveys. And he told me, he's like, hey, you should go over there. He'd get you like $20. And I was like, if I am needing a $20 survey at 50, I've failed my life. And here it is, coming up on 50 in a year and a half. And I'm like, you got any surveys? So Steve, shared experience in a way. Shared experience.
Yeah, I don't think they're still running them 25 years ish later, but it was good times. It was good times. So. One more thing too before we get to football, because I had was this will make Addie proud. I didn't make the 8th grade track team.
Okay.
Ken, everybody made the middle school track team. Okay.
You show up, you're in.
Everybody made the middle school track team. I didn't make the middle school track team. Like 3 people didn't make the middle school track team. Everybody else tried out. And I still to this day in my fantasy football league get shit because, and again, this is, we were middle school kids. I'm not trying to be offensive or anything, but I got lapped by a 7th grade girl in 8th grade on like the mile or something. Yes. And I haven't heard, I didn't make the track team. Haven't heard the end of it to this day.
You're like the Hound losing to Brienne of Tarth, which is an honor, but he didn't hear the end of it, right?
Didn't hear the end of it. No. So should have done better in track. But anyway, yeah. Right. So I think that's all I had before picks.
Okay.
Well, good food, bad food. Do you want to save that for next week? Good, bad food.
Yeah, I think we'll work on it, and maybe I'll chat with you, but also out there in the audience, launch a new segment, good, bad food. And we're going to put out there, and I'm going to want volunteers. We're only one segment, maybe 1 or 2 calls a segment, but once a week, maybe. I want to do this. I think this would be fun. This would be clippable, and nothing brings out passions like food talk. I don't know what it is. I get why, but I don't know why.
I don't know why. It's something we all share, and we all have strong feelings. But I mean, food makes you happy. Food makes some people happy. Food, unfortunately, makes some people sad. We all have different relationships with food. I think that's why we just have. Yeah.
Here's I've been very public with my dislike of In-N-Out over the years, and this past week and the fires, the 2 major fires still burning right now, to be clear. Last week, a lot of citizens of LA, a lot of longtime residents putting out some wonderful, heartfelt words about this city that they love, and I agree with it. I love this city. I love LA. I love the parts that I live in. I love the parts that I don't live in. I love it all. But someone in the end of their passionate Instagram notes apps post was like, and don't say anything bad about In-N-Out. And so here the entire time I was like, yes, LA, my heart bleeds for you. The last line, I was like, oh wait, hold the fucking phone. And that's the food passion thing. Like you throw out all the empathy you have to be like, those fucking fries suck, man. So yeah, we're gonna have to work on that. We're going to work on that. LQ, who's smarter than I, says food talk is fun and easy to engage with. And it feels safer. Yeah. Rich T says this. Food talk is also a non-confrontational discussion. Even if someone disagrees with you, it doesn't really affect you. They can't make you eat it. I think that's right. That's a great take on it, Rich.
I mostly agree with that, Rich. I don't know. There's some food takes where I could get a little
absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And
we all share food. I think that's why it's so engaging. Everyone eats, so we all have very different relationships with food.
Everyone eats. All right, let's do it. NFL picks. I was 5-1 on the NFL picks in the first round of the playoffs last week. The wild card weekend, 6 games, which stretched from Saturday morning to Monday night. I don't remember that in my day as a kid, but here we are. I was 6-1. I kept 5-1. I kept track, and I got to hand it to the Rams, Steve. That was a big time upset. Record-setting 9 sacks. Big stuff.
Yeah, as a Philly fan, I'm a little worried this weekend. The Rams looked really good. Everyone is really gassing up the Rams this week, so we'll see how that game goes. But as a quick recap for your record, yes, you were 45, 39-1 in the regular season, 5-1 so far in the playoffs, 50, 40, and 1 overall.
Wow, look at me. Look at me. I'm a regular Chris Berman. All right, so 5-1 in the playoffs. What do we got this week? Where are we going? Whoa, man, it's going to be...
All right, 4 games this week in the divisional round of the playoffs. So both of our number 1 seeds are now playing their first game. So game number 1 is Houston at Kansas City. Kansas City is an 8.5-point favorite.
Ooh, look, I like what the Texans did. I like the Texans. Someone this week in the punditry world said the Texans could be, or the Texans are an example of what the Miami Dolphins could be. And I like that idea. I'd love to get the chance to lose to Kansas City in the second round, but that's the thing. There's no way around this. You take Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes, the second, is rested and ready. We're going to have Taylor Swift in the crowd. It's going to be great. Kansas City, big over Houston.
All right, taking Kansas City. Here we go. Game number 2. Washington is at the Detroit Lions. Detroit is an 8.5-point favorite at home.
So the sub-story of this is earlier, about 2 weeks ago, no, week ago, right? You and I did a clip-out episode, and I have the Lions beating the Bills as my Super Bowl pick. I reserve the right to move off that week to week, and I'd love to move off that now. I just had lunch with Mark Ellis, who is still emotionally affected by Washington's playoff win last week. I gave him a 2024 Score Football Jaden Daniels rookie card that I pulled from a pack for Sports Card ASMR. I gave it to him, all signed, sealed, and delivered. It's his. But all that to say, it's going to be a bad weekend in the Ellis household because Lions are going to win, and I think it is going to be a shootout. There might be – the prop bet is, Steve, how many punts are going to be in the game. And I'm saying 1 total punt in the game.
1 total punt in the whole game. Both teams combined. 1 punt.
I'm saying that right now. Mark it. If I get that right, Laserbolt has to pay me $200.
If I can find over/under on punts on FanDuel, I am absolutely taking that, and I promise to give you a cut.
Let's do it. 1 punt. These teams don't have good defenses. The Lions have a little bit of a better one. It's going to be 55. Well, I got to take the 8.5, but so it's going to be 55, 45, 46.
All right. Taking Detroit and the points. Taking both big favorites this week, so that'll be interesting. Don't gamble, kids. All right, game number 3. Los Angeles, the Rams at Philly. Philly is a 6.5-point favorite at home.
Rams are hot. I get it. I think... Remember when the Dolphins beat them on Monday Night Football? Oh my God, what our season could have been. There's just no way. The Rams are hot, but Steve, you've been around watching football long enough. A team gets hot, and sometimes it's hot enough to take it to the big game, but other times it is a hot that fizzles, and you forget that they were hot, and they become a story for the week. That's the Rams. You got Barkley running wild. Philly is ready. I'm going for you, for Hal Lublin, and all my Eagle friends, my friend Corey as well. Eagles, Rams, it's going to be an 8-point win for the Eagles.
Go Birds, taking the Eagles. Yeah, I think you're onto something there. The Rams might be the team of the week, but Philly, I mean, I'm a homer, but Philly has a more complete team, offense, defense. We've talked before. I think Jalen Hurts has kind of, been up and down a little bit. Last week was a little shaky, and the Rams look so good on offense, but that Eagles defense is so good. So good.
And look, let's be honest, Hurts' brain is still a little foggy, which we'll deal with maybe at another time. But I got it. Yeah, look, Will McClain in chat says McVay the better coach. Don't disagree at all. But come on, Eagles got it. Barkley's having that year where you go, oh, it was his year and he took it all the way to the Super Bowl. I still think Lions, but I'm going them. All right. Kansas City,
game
Lions,
number 4.
Eagles. Game number 4.
This is the game of the week. Baltimore at Buffalo. Buffalo is a 1.5-point underdog at home.
Oh, wow. I guess I have to stick with it. I'm going to convince myself that the Bills are going to win, but there's hesitation in me, Steve. There's hesitation in my heart on this. Watching Baltimore was something, and they're a type of team that can get hot and go all the way too. But that's kind of where we're at with these 4 games. Any one of these teams could get hot and go all the way, except for maybe the Texans in my head, and then a little less the Rams. But I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go Bills. They're going to win. Close game, but they're going to win straight away.
All right, taking the Bills in the last game. Yeah, the fact that the Bills are 1.5 point underdog at home is great. If anything, I thought that game would be a push, but the fact that you can take the Bills and get points, like you can, I mean, that's Josh Allen's so good. And the Ravens, like, were kind of up and down at the end of the year, but they looked good lately. So
they had that kind of weird season, but so did Kansas City, all the way to being the best in the AFC. What's the weather like in Buffalo? Do we have a Buffalo weather report?
I haven't looked. It's going to be cold, Ken. It's January. It's going to be cold as hell. That's what it's going to be.
It's going to be cold. Cold as hell, says producer Steve. Addie points out in chat, all home teams. Yep, I think this is when home field advantage really starts to kick in.
Good observation. So here's our quick recap. We're taking Kansas City over Houston, Detroit over Washington, Philly over the Rams, and Buffalo over Baltimore. Really liking the home field advantage, and Buffalo is your only underdog, but that's a good underdog pick.
There you go. Rich T in chat says 5 of the 6 home teams won last week, just not the Bucks. Ask Cody Hall, the Wangers, about it. Steve, love it. We're gonna be 9-1 at the end of this week. We're gonna be 9-1, and mark it down. Mark down that one punt.
One punt. We're definitely doing. We're having some fun with the one punt. I'll let you know about that.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate it.
Steve calls it every week, gives us the NFL picks. We love doing that, and yeah, more on the way. We're not done. Oh yeah, we're not done when the sports season turns to baseball. Oh, I can't wait to unveil box score heroes on the Blathering. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, oh my gosh, I gotta prop him up right now. Brennan Mystical Mar has been waiting patiently since before I even started the show. I had a different run of calls tonight. Brennan, I apologize. Can you forgive me?
Eventually.
I love it, Brennan.
I gotta say, what a great community we have.
We do. You are.
I mean, Addie's fantastic. Jared, the Dark Jedi, is a good friend. Scotty Jero is one of the most awesome people you will ever meet.
Yeah. Except for when he's dressed up as Kiss guitarists.
Yeah, that was a little odd. But hey, I love him anyway, so you know.
I do. Brennan, I got you here. What's on your mind?
Well,
what's your question?
I mean, the conversation has gone all over the place.
It really has. That's why I love to blather.
The 2 things really stood out to me. Is one is, you're talking about the whole religious trauma thing.
Yeah.
You know that I'm a pretty religious guy.
You are.
I don't say this to toot my own horn.
Yeah. Toot away.
But I somehow got really lucky.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't think I ever really had anyone in my religious upbringing, teachers, leaders, who ever abused their authority.
Right.
And not everyone can say that. And that's
right.
That's unfortunate, terribly unfortunate.
Yeah. No, the point of a lot of my conversations, and I've made sure I've tried to be a little more clear and have a finer point on it, is to highlight what is good. Here's the big. I'll talk about it in terms of of police. I had a law enforcement adjacent career, but I managed police officers.
Yeah.
I was in hairy situations, arrested a lot of people. I fought a lot of people. I've been in bad stuff. I give them all the grace in the world for it being a very tough job. But after a while, I could no longer stand by and not speak out against the bad things that were happening.
Yeah.
The bad stories. I could tell you 99 good stories. But there's one story that stood out in my brain where one of my friends was being trained, sheriff's department, and his training officer pointed at a black guy on a bike and said, "You want to F up his life? Let's do this." And they pulled him over, they roughed him up, and they planted drugs on him, and they arrested him for a laugh. And those are the kind of stories where I'm like, I can no longer stay silent on that stuff.
I think it's good to speak out.
And I think that's, Brennan, where I am with organized religion, where
that's a good point.
To me, it ain't God, but I've got to point out the bad stories because they're erasing the 99 good ones. And I respect and appreciate folks like you who, number one, acknowledge that your experience has been wonderful and different, and keep around you an air of you're part of the community, and that shows in all the people that value you because you value us on an equal level, and it's been wonderful to have you.
Oh, well, thank you. You're making me blush.
Well, you know, you all make me blush sometimes. It's only turnabout fair play.
Yeah, so it's interesting to have the different experience than some people, and I feel pretty bad for those who just didn't have that experience, had to deal with people being abusive or people,
Yeah.
misusing it. Because I mean, look, I'm going to say this once.
Yeah.
If you say you're a Christian and act like that, you're not a Christian.
Amen.
I have said it.
Amen. I
have
really
spoken.
agree with you, Brennan. I really agree with you.
I have
And look,
spoken.
and I I have spoken. You are my queel. And for me too, I think it's one of the changes in me is I had a relatively good upbringing. I can bring up a lot of things that I felt now looking back were either destructive or something I don't agree with, and I can run through that list just as much as anyone. But in truth, I had the best of what I could have had at the time. Like I don't have a ton of things I can point to and say that was dangerous to me personally.
Yes. Okay.
And I think the biggest change in me was acknowledging that was not, just like you are, to be clear. That's why I bring it up. Acknowledging that was not everyone else's experience, and what can we do with those experiences, and how do we heal that? So, anyways,
and I agree with Nick in the chat. I mean, come on, just read the Bible.
Yeah.
Jesus said a lot of strong words for hypocrites.
I would say so.
So you think if you're a hypocrite and think, oh, I'm following Jesus, it's like, did you ever read what he actually said?
Yeah, the actual,
read the actual words here.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The other thing that really stands out to me is, in terms of discussion, is David Lynch. I had never seen any of his movies, but the scene from The Fabelmans that you mentioned.
Is that? Oh, is that from The Fabelmans? Got it.
He's playing John Ford.
Got it. Oh, yeah, it makes total sense now. Yes.
And
okay.
John Ford
Thank you
was
for
like
that.
that, and that's based on an actual experience that a young Steven Spielberg had.
Beautiful.
Running into John Ford for the first time.
I think I saw that in chat. I missed it, but I didn't connect the dots. I didn't connect the dots. That's from The Fabelmans. That's wonderful.
But to me, I laughed. I think in my review of the movie, I said it's just David Lynch playing himself. I mean,
yeah.
But there's a quote from David Lynch that really always stands out to me: is "change your heart or die."
Yeah.
Which is something he said, and I absolutely agree that there's a lot of people with some bad ideas in their hearts, and hey, if they don't change their behavior, then well, that's it for them.
Yeah, no, I think that when you're referring to, I think it was it the Twin Peaks reboot? Again, I'm not familiar with the David Lynch lore, but I saw that going around today that it was about a character who was transitioning, and when he said, I think it's when you become Denise. I've told everyone around you, all your colleagues, change your heart or die. I think it's a powerful sentiment on a lot of levels, overall and specific.
Yeah, but David Lynch, what a character!
What a character, indeed. 8-9.
Twin Peaks is a weird show.
Yeah, wonderfully weird, right?
I kind of liked it.
I'm going to give it. I think it's finally time. I'll slice up some cherry pie.
It's an interesting film, yeah.
8984M says, Ken, I think you really like The Fabelmans. Don't think I didn't recognize Brady trying to sneak a movie into my life. It's been noted. 8984M. All right. Brennan, thanks for calling in. I want to get to Detective McCarcel and Jonathan and then get on to my dinner.
I just want to say, having done my podcast for 7.5 years, I agree with our buddy Jared the Dark Jedi. We have all been so inspired by Thor Center.
Oh, thank you, buddy.
So many of us are living in kind of the umbrella of Thor Center. And I just got to say that we have all been so incredibly blessed by Thor Center and the perspective that you guys have shared. which in many ways exemplifies what David Lynch said. Change your heart or die. And so that's kind of my final thoughts is
I love it.
if all those hypocrites out there, change your heart or die.
There you go.
It's up to you.
I appreciate the kind words on Force Center, Brennan. You've always been a strong supporter of us. We absolutely recognize that, and congratulations on crossing 7 years with your Star Wars podcast as well.
Yes, and I'll need to have you back on sometime soon.
Let's do it. Let's do that dance. You know I love to.
Alrighty. Thank
All
you
right.
so much, Ken. Love you.
Love you, Brennan. Brennan Mystical Mar, everybody, who is the host of a Page Turners They Were Not, a great Star Wars podcast that I have been on a couple times, and I'll be on again. All right, we got a couple more calls here. I want to send a shout out. I just caught this. I just saw it. Zach Anderson checking in, the best Brewers fan in the world, saying, well, just give me a super sticker. And I really appreciate that. Zach, good to have you and good to see you here as well. All right, a couple minutes left in this show, but I want to get to one of my favorite names in our community, because years ago, I believe it was on Twitch, I kind of I absolutely drew a blank on what his first name was because I couldn't remember. So I called him Detective McCarsel, and it has absolutely stuck. Michael's back here on the show. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing all right. Trying to avoid the stress of school. So
how's that going? Well, I guess I shouldn't ask because that's running right into the stress, isn't it?
Nah, it's fine. It's fine. It's the first week of school, and so it's just that weird gray area of we haven't covered enough course material to actually start doing a homework assignment. So
enjoy it.
Hate it, honestly. It's anxiety.
Hey, love it.
But I wanted to ask, so y'all been covering sports a lot, and I'm not in the chat as much. I all my life I have wanted to understand the nerds who get into sports.
Okay.
I was not a nerd who could get into sports.
Okay.
I tried desperately because I was bullied a lot as a kid and made fun of. And, you know, getting into sports was a thing to fit in. I'm in South Louisiana. It's big. I grew up 30 minutes from LSU.
College football.
I'm now at LSU. So, But how did you come to get into sports? Because you were you're in the same boat, nerd who got into sports. So how did you manage to get into it?
This is a great question, and I'll say this up top: if you're someone, and you know, this isn't about nerds versus jocks, but if you're someone who's not into sports, there's a lot of reasons not to be into sports, and there's a lot of reasons. Like I kind of over the last 10 years, I didn't miss it when I was not involved with it on a daily basis in terms of listening to sports talk radio or watching my Yankees or watching my Dolphins. I didn't miss it. It's not a coincidence that about 10 years ago is when I started working full time in the nerd world, in the pop culture world, and my cup runneth over. And Star Wars was back and everything. So it makes a lot of sense to me now. And that's not that there was a change in Star Wars and my love of it. Well, there was a weird plateau of some Star Wars feelings that I had around the strikes and Ahsoka and everything. And sports kind of found me then when I needed it. So anyways, I always want to acknowledge there's no right, no wrong here. I think you're touching on things that I experienced. There was that feeling of, there's the bullying side. Sports is tied too strongly into our patriarchal culture as a sign of strength, as the classic you win or you lose, and might over weakness. And I think there's a lot of that has just kind of permeated our culture. And it boils down a lot to I was bullied for Star Wars. I was bullied for not being good at sports. And I think our pal Joseph Scrimshaw has once said, he said a few times, but he said once pretty clearly and poignantly, like, it wasn't that I wouldn't have loved sports. No one took the time to explain it to me. It was just either you knew it or you were a nerd and an idiot and get out of here. And I think that's really fair.
And that's where I remember Joseph mentioning it at some point, like, because I did try, but there seemed to be this barrier of entry that you were kind of expected to just know it.
You were expected to know it.
Out the womb. Just know your sports team, know how the game works. And and I played soccer for like a year or so as a kid, whatever. But
same.
For me, all the alternative weird sports, like I loved martial arts. I did it for over a decade and would still if it weren't so expensive to actually attend and practice. But like I now work at a rock climbing gym. It's an incredibly niche sport, especially in South Louisiana where there are no mountains. The nearest actual place to climb outdoors for me is Arkansas, which is at least an 8-hour drive.
Beautiful.
Straight north. So
Beautiful.
all the weird niche sports,
Yeah.
clicked for me, maybe because there were a lot of nerds in those communities as well. Especially in the early to mid 90s doing karate. Like the
Right.
Karate Kid and Power Rangers was still very big, and that's literally why I got into it, was because the Power Rangers were an inspiration for me as a small child.
Yeah. Yeah, look, to my story, like I didn't grow up with it. My parents did not love sport. My dad and I would watch the Olympics. I remember my dad would tune in to the Super Bowl or the World Series. I remember watching the 1985 World Series, the Royals and the Cardinals. My dad had it on. I didn't know what it meant. I knew what baseball was, but I just remember hearing the name John Tudor. So I went to school and mentioned, "Oh, here's my John Tudor pitching impression," and it kind of made me. You talk about acceptance. I was a Star Wars kid. I like G.I. Joe, Transformers. By the way, everyone did. But there starts to become these buckets that we feel we have to be in. And to try, what happened with me is I started collecting baseball cards before I even watched baseball, because I wanted to feel in. And all the kids in my class were doing that. So I started that way. I played. What happened specifically but I was the kid who, when you came to play like softball during PE, I was way out in left field, and no one gave me a glove even. No one taught me how to do it. And I just hoped to God that nothing would come my way. And one time, 4th, 5th grade, doesn't matter now. One time, ball got hit to me way out in left field. I think it was like we played tennis ball, baseball, so you had a racket and a tennis ball so no one could get hurt. And I had no glove. And I caught the ball, and everyone cheered, and we won the game. And I just was like, well, that felt good. So I started to be open to it. But at the end of the day, I always joke, and I have it in my stand-up back, that Derek Jeter and Batman are the same. You're not going to be either of them, blah, 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 blah. But what you talked about and what Joseph had talked about happened to me. I was blessed to have a friend, Sean, who in 6th grade, we started hanging out. And he literally sat down in the dirt and taught me how to play football, X's and O's, and literally taught me, here's what that play means. Here's what that means. And I learned sports, and I learned baseball, and we sat and talked, and I just fell in love with it. And there's a lot to love about the big sports. There's a lot to love about as you described it, the weirder sports, or the more like athletics or training, running, Addie running. That's a sport. You're an athlete if you're doing that.
Addie's got me beat. My fiance as well. She did cross country in high school, and I my shins start to scream at me. My asthma gets me.
Well, and that's something too. I think there is, and I can only speak for the American culture in the 80s, but we're in the bigger, stronger, faster era in the 80s coming up. It's Rocky, which I love the movie Rocky. I love boxing. I love this. Wrestling, to me, before it became sports entertainment, was a sport, and I love that. But what you're talking about too is, I wasn't good at it. I'm still not great at sports. I don't have the coordination, the natural coordination. So therefore, there's a lot of shame attached to not performing up to the sport ideals on the playground during just PE and getting laughed at or failing. And I think there's a lot of shame attached to it. And when you can't trust the kids to treat each other right on the playground. And maybe that could be something different. I don't know if it's ever going to change. So I'm here. Sometimes I needle both sides. I'll needle the theater kids. I'll needle the jocks. I think it's just something in my nature, but I want there to be more crossover. And then if you don't want to cross over, you don't need to cross over. And the biggest worry for me, Detective McCarcel, I'm so happy to talk about sports on the Blathering, but I have kept that from my shows for years. Even though I launched a baseball podcast and things would come up, or me and Dagnina would do an interview, I felt a weird drive to deny that I like sports when I was doing my broadcasting, because I didn't want to alienate people, and I've no longer done that. I've released myself of that.
That makes sense.
And it's been a lot of fun to just talk about, should the Dolphins fire Mike McDaniel? And you, Michael, don't need to know. You can just nod your head and go, Ken says they shouldn't. One more year. My friend Ken says Dolphins should give. If you're at a bar and someone brings this up, you say, hey, the host of the Blathering says, give Mike McDaniel one more year with a healthy quarterback. That's all you need to know. And that's been freeing for me.
Well, that's fair, because the extent of my knowledge about this football season is literally your segment. That's it.
There you go.
That's it. I don't know. I would not have known the Is this the head coach or is it
Head
the
coach. This is the
okay.
head coach of the
Wouldn't have
Miami
known to say
Dolphins.
if it weren't for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and to me, it should have worked because I obviously have that setting for fandom in such a
Yes.
way that sports
Right.
plays right into because I've actually gotten into it a little bit with my fiance's sister's fiance because he's he's just a sports guy. Sports, work, that's about it. And like he's a huge baseball guy. He apparently does a baseball podcast, but I
love it.
Not to make fun of him, I don't know how many people actually tune in. He's never mentioned the actual name of it, but you know what? It brings him joy.
Let him do it. Yeah.
But I got in. We didn't argue or anything, but like he was asking me about my nerd stuff, as it were, and I was like, "Look, it's the same setting in your brain. It literally targets the same part of your brain, but for some reason, the Star Wars and comic books and all that's what I latched onto, as opposed to for some reason I could not get into baseball, couldn't get into football, and a couple, but I guess for me, it never made sense that I couldn't get into both.
I absolutely understand it because for years it was trouble. I had trouble crossing over my mind, and I'm glad where I'm at. But hey, you know what? Here's what I do. We're going to keep talking about sports just long enough, Michael, for you to watch a Dolphin game and go, okay. I'm from Louisiana, but okay.
Look, we've got the Saints. I don't think they did well this season.
They did not as much, but they could be good again.
Look, I'm sure my mom is actually a massive Saints fan. I'm sure she could tell me all about it, but I'm good. Yeah. Also, to answer 894M's question, chat, I don't think there's a pro baseball team in Louisiana, as far as I'm aware.
No. Well, there's minor league teams, but not on a major league team.
Now, LSU's baseball team is a big deal, or at least it was.
Yeah.
But
LSU,
that's about it.
Yeah.
That's about all.
Absolutely big. I think I have friends by proxy with one of their big former offensive linemen, and it's a thing there. It's a thing. All right, Michael, thanks for calling in. Anything else on your mind before I let you go, buddy?
Nope. Just needed a good chat. Now I can hopefully try to at least read some textbooks.
Just bear down. I don't know if you're a drinker, but maybe toss a few back.
Not during the semester. I am intentionally sober during the semester.
What a responsible detective. But I'll tell you what, we won't tell anyone. I'm kidding.
All right. Kidding. All right. Take care, man.
Thank you, Michael. Michael McCarcel. We call him Detective McCarcel, and it works. One more call, then we're heading on out of here. I'm going to make some dinner tonight. I don't know. I had a big lunch at Wood Ranch, and it was one of those. I've been I'll go to Wood Ranch, maybe I'll get the barbecue chopped salad. I'll say no to the bread rolls. Maybe we'll split a potato skin, me, Mark, and Christian Ruvalcaba from the Wangers. Check out the Wenger shows every Monday night at 8. And I didn't do that today. I ordered 2 chicken breasts. I ordered the loaded baked potato, ordered skillet ranch beans. We had, yes, please, more bread rolls. It was a thing. Ooh, it was a thing. All right, final call of the night before I get on out of here. So we got 1 or 2 questions from our good buddy Jonathan Peck. Jonathan, how you doing, my friend? What's on your mind?
Doing good, doing good. This is pretty much better. The last night I called in, which is a little unexpected. Sorry on my end.
No, all good, man. How are you? What can we help you with tonight?
Help with? Well, I just want to add into the sort of sports talk, basically. And
you're a sports guy and a nerd.
Yes, on both ends, basically. Both a film nerd and a sort of sports nerd at the same time. And I got away some my football knowledge is basically a bit of a decut if it's apparently my dad's side of the family, basically, because he's a fan of DC sports teams in general, not only the Commanders, but the Capitals, the Nationals, or the old school Senators, if you want to dig deep in baseball,
going
basically.
Back. Yep.
Yeah. And basically, I'm not for the Wizards, but I do have some knowledge about the Wizards on my end, though. But
that's right.
Yeah. And also,
I remember them when they were the Washington Bullets.
Yes. But the second most popular thing is just sports names, basically.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And basically, I want to go talk about your picks for a second, and I just want to put this a little detailed to talk about, basically.
Okay.
Look at it specifically the Lions and Chiefs, and basically, guess what they both have thing in common?
What do they got?
They both have 15. They both have 15 wins.
15 win teams. 15-2, right?
Yes. And the reason I said that because in the past, it's for teams that had 15 wins or over and not do well in the postseason or even win a Super Bowl with it. After the post
Ooh.
1984 and 80, and after the 84 49ers, and the year after that
Right.
it was the 85 Bears won their Super Bowls. There have been some
Right.
teams that had 15 wins or over, have a little trouble in the postseason. Some of them lose in one of them teams. And some prime examples like the 98 Vikings, the '04 Steelers, and
Mm-hmm.
basically the 2011 Packers, basically, or even the 2015 Panthers,
Love it.
basically had some trouble, basically, not only getting into the Super Bowl or you didn't win. Even the '07 Patriots, when they went undefeated, had didn't chance to complete the job, basically.
I love this insight, Jonathan. This is great insight here. What do you think the reason is that 15-win teams often in recent history have not gone on to win the big game?
Well, there's some other factors. And we all know football is pretty much as a team sport, basically.
Any given Sunday, right?
Yes, and basically a lot of stuff happened. I think what kind of went well for a couple things. Like number one, the Vikings. I know people could blame on the Gary Anderson kick, what happened there, but
Mm-hmm.
there are
Mm-hmm.
kind of a lot of problems in that game that some people don't want rarely admit. Basically, the defense didn't have the best stuff. They didn't have John Randall in that game. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't
Mm-hmm.
have some costly turnovers already in the game, and they, even when they tied, they still have an opportunity to win the game. But they took a knee and went to overtime and they lost in the
And they
result.
lost it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
And you remember the '04 Pittsburgh Steelers?
I try not to. I had a roommate that love the Steelers out of my heart. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that was
yeah.
rookie year for Big Ben, basically. He
Big
had a
Ben.
great rookie year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was an only 15-1 team. Didn't have, well, a good top 10 offense, but not even top 5 offense, basically. And basically,
Right.
they just cared about their running game, their defense. They made it to a conference championship game, but they lost to basically a Patriots team back to back, which they beat the Patriots in the season, though, but they
They
didn't get
did.
there either. And basically, I mentioned the
Brady.
2011. Yes.
What? So
Man,
what? But, all right,
Steelers
but
is
this is great stats, Jonathan. I
I was
got
gonna
dinner warming. I need. What do you feel? Is it an emotional reason? Is it just fate that if you're the number one seed, everyone's gunning for you? Do you think? Do you think Kansas City or Detroit will get to the big game this year?
I see one of them can make it to the conference championship game or even the Super Bowl. My thing is with that is remember with the Chiefs got basically 2 weeks of rest, basically the rest versus rust debate. Basically, it's kind of the
Right.
same thing with the 2011 Packers. The Packers pretty much everything clinched up. They just rest their centers for almost like 3 weeks, and
Right.
when the game against the Giants played up, they played like flat, and it kind of showed their exposement on their
There you
defense
go.
basically. And the reason why they showed that because they played in most of the league at the time, though they basically sort of forget about that. Same thing with that team. And also in the Super Bowl, the last 15 win
Are
team, it was the
yeah.
2015 Panthers.
Are you
It was
reading this from a book, Jonathan?
No, I got no in my knowledge of my brain.
I see you
I
on
know
camera.
very
You got nothing there. I love it. I just wanted to highlight how great it is you pulled all this information.
yeah, like I
That's
said,
great,
15
Jonathan.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say the last 15 win team made the playoffs was 2015 Panthers. They got to the Super Bowl. They almost got every basically natural. Lost the Super Bowl to Denver. Basically, they have a low. They played better in the game, but they didn't complete it all. Basically, so
Love it.
like I
Love
said,
it.
it's a team sport, and some things can happen. Like who knows? Maybe my team, the Washington Commanders, pull out the upset against the Lions,
Could be.
and also maybe the plucky Texans maybe shocked the world and ended the three-peat of the Chiefs. So you might never know.
I'll say this. I'm not pulling my picks, Steve. Producer Steve, don't worry about it. I'm not pulling my picks. But if there's to be an upset this weekend, it will be Washington. It will be Washington. All right.
Yeah, and I'm still celebrating for
Jonathan,
that game a few days ago.
Thank you. I appreciate you calling in, Jonathan. We appreciate your sports insight. All right.
Keep that little detail in mind for everybody who's watching.
I will. I think it's great insight. Thank you, Jonathan. Jonathan, calling in as we start to round down on the show here tonight. You guys have been great hanging out with me. Don't forget, we are live Saturday night. It is going to be 4 p.m. Pacific, my time. We'll be doing about an hour. That is going to be what we do going forward until my work schedule changes that, or I'm out of town for a stand-up gig, all those kind of things. We are going to press the pedal to the floor here on this show called The Blathering. And yeah, during the baseball season, we're going to be doing box score heroes on The Blathering, which also, box score heroes can apply to football as well. So it's all going to come your way. Thanks for the support. I'm trying to get back to what I need to get back. There it is. There's 8. If you watch the Wangers 2 Wangers ago, I was on. They just got the Rodecaster 2 board. And they ran into the same problem I have. There's so many sound pads on here that you're just going, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so that's what's going on. I know what I'm doing here. All right, we're out of here. Love hanging out with all of you, and we are going to do this again Saturday. If Detroit gets to the big game and they win, I'm going to eat a Detroit-style pizza live on air. Thank you all. Subscribe here on YouTube. Listen on the audio. Tell your friends about us. We got good things going on. See ya. Bye.